Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from downtown Baton Rouge. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Sharief, Ishaq will be along in half an hour talking Saints. I'm sure that'll be a cheery conversation. Sharief always sunshine and rainbows when things don't go well, and they're not going well in New Orleans right now, but we'll talk to Sharief coming up a couple of segments from now. Always the top of hour number 2 on Tuesdays. Welcoming Collin Jeter, former LSU tight end, now with the LSU Alumni Association, joins us in studio. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Tigers are 4-0.
Tigers are 4-0. We like that. Of course, we hope they get to 5-0, hit the bye week, and then come back home to play South Carolina. It'll be another football Friday in a couple of Fridays. I want to get folks involved in that.
That's right. Yeah, man. Football Friday coming up. First one was a success, obviously. We're looking forward to number 2. Another big SEC home game, and we'll go from there.
We don't have a lot of history with South Carolina. I'm trying to think about, because usually when we have one of those football Fridays, you have, we had Ole Miss last year. Brad Davis was there from the famous run back the clock game where Burt Jones to Brad Davis. And then, of course, for Football Friday, a couple Fridays ago for Florida, you had Kevin Falk there from the 97 game, and we had Hester and Flynn from the 07 game. Not a lot of history with the Gamecocks. The one, thing that pops in my mind is that South Carolina had that flood and they had to come to Baton Rouge on a whim, and that was Spurrier's last game because Fournette ran for 1 billion yards in that game.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That was it.
That's the one I can think of because we played them. It was supposed to be there, came back here. It was old ball coach's last game. He retired after that one.
He looked at him and, if I can't beat LSU like I did 50,000 times in Gainesville, then I guess I'll bow out. And I know y'all got another big fundraiser coming up in October as well with the Alumni Association.
Yeah, Tiger Nation Challenge. It's our big annual giving week. Kind of helps to fundraise everything we do as far as operations, whether that's national networking, mentorship, just connecting Tigers across the world. That's what it's all about. So that'll be coming up in October as well.
Awesome. We'll talk a little bit more about it as we move forward. But let's talk some football. Anything that you can gain or that you picked up from whenever Southeastern, like we talked about it last week, it's just, if not a fair fight. I said it a million times last week. Is there anything you picked up that you liked or didn't like in the game?
Well, we talked about there was 2 ways to look at playing Nussmeier. You could sit him and get him healthy, or you could play him and hope to get the offense rolling. And, they did score 56 points, so it did seem like we were clicking. Obviously, it's a subpar opponent, but that's the one positive aspect you can get. I'd still really wish we would have ran the ball better that week, but you can't complain about scoring 56 points.
There's just, again, they ran it a little bit. It got Juwan Johnson involved once Caden Durham went down. I'm curious, because we're going to get into Ole Miss here in a second. Caden Durham is the one real experienced back that you've got on this team. And he may play on Saturday, and if he does, great, it's a moot point. But if he doesn't, you got Caleb Jackson, who's been very lightly used in really 3 years here at LSU. You got Juwan Johnson, who's played safety, quarterback, running back, and then you got Harlan Berry, who's a freshman. That's really all you've got. I'm curious, we know all those guys can run the ball. What about all the other stuff that they've got to do, and what do you think Frank Wilson is going to prioritize? Pass protection, understanding the offense, catching the ball out of the backfield. What else goes into it, and what do those guys need to work on this week if Durham is not able to go? Because they haven't played very much.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many nuances to playing football when it comes to running back position. One, obviously you got to be good when the ball's in your hand. But 2, you got to be good when the ball's not in your hands, whether that's pass protection, getting out on pass routes, understanding what the offensive line's doing. There's a lot that goes into it. So if you're just a guy who we hand the ball to and you can make plays, great, but we got to know what you're doing outside of that. Obviously, Durham is our best back of the bunch. Barry's a great young kid. I do like Juwan Johnson. He's kind of like a fun little jackknife. Yeah. We got a Swiss Army blade of the offense. But, yeah, there's a lot of nuances, especially going on the road to Ole Miss, SEC, first real away SEC test. I kind of feel like we're going to do a lot more of the screens, trying to extend the run game with our receivers, but it's just so many aspects to it outside of just running the ball.
You think Xavion Thomas can play some running back if they need him to go back there and do that?
Maybe so. Look, I'd love to see him in the Chicago Bears putting DJ Moore in the backfield a little bit. Let's give him a little, make him kind of another Swiss Army blade in the routine on offense and shit. I'd love to see it.
I would too. I think you're going to see a little bit of that. So I want to talk LSU-Ole Miss big picture. Like, you played in this game. This is one that the SEC has determined, hey, we're going to go ahead and make them annual opponents moving forward for the next 4 years. It's the team that LSU has beaten the most. It is the team that LSU has played second most. I'm curious your memories of playing Ole Miss in Tiger Stadium and then on the road at Vaught-Hemingway.
Well, let me think. So in 2014, we played them. They were number 3. We had Good Bo, Bad Bo coming to town, and we upset them at home, which was great. 15 was not so great. We went over there, and that extended our 3-game losing streak. And then 16, we got to watch old number 7, Fournette, set the rushing record on him.
Yes.
So more good memories than bad against Ole Miss. Obviously, that's another one that, we talked about Florida being the team that we kind of hate the most. I feel like Ole Miss feels that way about us. Like that, I hate to say it. Well, I don't mind saying it. We're like big brother to them, and they really want to beat up on us. So it's going to be another tough-fought game, but it's a fun rivalry. Like I said, it's not my favorite. It's not the Florida, but it still always seems to be a fun game.
That 15 game, I forgot about that. That was my bachelor party. And so we had a bunch of guys in Oxford, and it was freezing. I don't know if you recall that. You're playing. I was just in the stands after quite a few beverages. Y'all wore those stupid all-white uniforms. And then Kelly threw right down the seam the first play of the game. And my group left in early third quarter. We're like, it's getting ugly. It's cold, and we're here together. We're just going to go to the square and hang out. Is that an intimidating place to play?
Not really. It's small. Obviously, everyone knows to say it. It almost looks like a glorified high school stadium, but it does get loud, and just with the hostility of the fans between Ole Miss and LSU.
Yeah.
But as far as comparing it to any other SEC stadium, no. It's just a matter at that point of playing the game.
So as far as LSU's defense goes, they have passed every test with flying colors. Clemson doesn't look very good. Florida doesn't look very good. How comfortable are you with them going to play Lane Kiffin's offense?
This, to me, is the real test of the year so far, because like we talked about, we thought Clemson was a great win, and I'm not saying it's not, but you've seen they've kind of sputtered since. Kiffin's going to dial it up, and I don't know if there's any extra motivation now that it appears that one of our linebackers is dating his daughter, but Kiffin's such a great offensive coach, and to me, this is the real test number one. So if our defense can come out of this one playing the same way we played through 3 weeks, I'm super excited, but we'll find out on Saturday.
Baker and Kiffin matched wits last year, and I would say it was about a draw. LSU won the game. Ole Miss did score some points. They busted some big plays. Trey Harris, their number one receiver, dropped what would have been a touchdown in the first quarter on a deep ball that was right in his hands, and he just dropped it. And Kiffin went for some fourth downs, and LSU bowed up and got stopped. So how do you feel about that matchup between Baker and Kiffin with this new group of LSU defensive players that he'll have at his disposal?
I feel better this year. Last year, I'm with you. I thought Ole Miss, as good of a win as it was for us, Ole Miss missed some opportunities throughout the game. Obviously, they've got a new squad. They've got a new quarterback. We've brought in some great transfers that kind of stoutened up our defense. I feel better about it this year than last year. So I don't know if that's a good sign for anything, but we do have to go on the road. So getting signals out there, communication is going to be tougher. But as far as a standpoint of what they had on offense and what we had on defense last year versus where we're both at now, I like the matchup a little bit better.
As far as LSU goes on offense, Ole Miss is in the 120s. There's 136 teams in the FBS. They're in the 120s in running defense. Do you feel like, with or without Durham, that we can run the ball a little bit against that team?
It's getting repetitive. We keep talking about this every week. We're fine at throwing the ball, but the run game's an issue. We have to be able to run the ball. I mean, you can't be one-dimensional throughout the year, especially in the SEC. I think we can. I wasn't too excited to see that Nussmeier had our longest rush of the night last week. You would think against Southeastern we could pop some runs, but we're going to have to. We're going to have to find ways. That's why I think we'll kind of get the screen game back going to extend that run game. But you have to be able to find seams against Ole Miss, who, as you said, the run defense doesn't appear to be all that stout.
If we talk to Nussmeier tonight, I'll ask him about this. I wasn't there post-game to ask him. I did notice when he ran that long run, he started chirping at the crowd. Now, that may have been fired up because he ran the ball and got a first down. It may have been I've heard y'all for a year and a half now moan every time I don't run. See, I can run. Do players hear the crowd and can they react to something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was more option number 2 there. I think he was chirping back. Look, if you think players don't get on... If you think we don't get on our phones after the game and check Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it and see what everyone's talking about, you're crazy. It's just part of it now. You're connected all the way around. But Yeah, I think Nuss had a little bit of chirpiness to him, and I liked it personally.
I mean, you can hear in that stadium when he doesn't run and there is 10 yards of grass in front and he either wings it down the field or throws it away or whatever. And you can hear the collective and like people. And Brian Kelly said in press conference, like, he's got to run more. And he said, I got to run more. And then he runs. I find that interesting. And Twitter, there was Twitter when you played. I mean, were you looking at that? I mean,
yeah.
Not that there's a ton of people trashing the tight end unless you drop a pass.
Yeah, I think it was looking more just to see if your name got mentioned, back in the day. But yeah, Nuss, I'm with you. He doesn't need to be Jaden. He doesn't need to be these guys that take off. But if he can do that once or twice a game, get a first down for us when we need him to, then that's perfect. That's exactly what he needs to do.
It's just the access that fans have to players on social media just really is slimy to me, because it's an excuse for somebody who's really immature and has terrible priorities to have some drinks and like fire off tweets at people that I hate that part of the whole thing.
We've got a great term for that. It's called keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
It's they won't say it to your face, but they're fine doing it behind a screen.
Gross. The worst. How do we feel about final score on Saturday night?
Oh, man. I think we'll score some points. I'm going to go final prediction 28-24. That's my final guess. I think Tigers pulled out on the road. It's going to be a tough one. They're going to score some points on us, but I think we'll be able to kind of prevail in the end.
45 minutes ago, I asked Glenn West, like, do you think if I gave LSU's defense, y'all are going to allow 23 on the number, do you think they would take that, or do you think they would go play the game? And I guess the competitor in them was like, we're not scoring 20-33, but like in reality, I think that's probably right about the right number. I think if Ole Miss scores 31 points, you might be in some trouble. And I think if you hold them to 13, like, you're going to win the game and you're going to be considered maybe the best defense in the country. 23 seems to be kind of like a middle ground to me, and that's kind of where you are.
I agree. I think 24, that's a game we can win. If you hit 30s, I don't feel so confident about it, but I think if we keep them in the 20s, we'll score enough points against our defense to come out victorious.
And then if you really put put the clamps on them and hold them in that stadium against that coach, like, you can really look at this going into the bye week, and this is one of the best defenses. I think a lot of teams are going to have trouble, because right now you can explain it away. Like, Florida's a mess and Clemson's a mess. We'll see. I'm excited to check it out. 2:30 on Saturday. Collin, tell everybody one more time where they can get involved with the Alumni Association.
Well, there's all sorts of opportunities, like we talked about earlier. Football Fridays, it's another great event. Come in, check out, grab some lunch, hear stories from players. I was talking to some of the other former players this past week. I may have some big-time names in there coming soon.
I like that.
But that's a great opportunity. Obviously, Tiger Nation Challenge, just stay up to date with that. That'll come more in October. We'll talk more about that. It's a great opportunity to kind of help us support all of our nationwide networking. Keep Tigers connected across the country. And then so on. Obviously, as the year goes on, we'll continue to do more, but those are the two big things coming up.
You going to Oxford?
Unfortunately not. I'm not going this week, but I will be watching at home.
All right. We'll talk next week. He is Collin Jeter, former LSU tight end, now with the LSU Alumni Association. We'll step aside. When we come back, let's talk a little bit more LSU Ole Miss big picture on this rivalry. You got some historical facts to get to. We'll do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, Segan at Perkins, online swingeasygcbr.com. I've always thought I'd love to be a member somewhere. Well, you can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club. You can get preferential treatment on reserving tee times and bays. You can also get 7 hours for free every single month with your membership fee. You can bring guests, you can host clients, you can have friends, all those types of things you can bring to Swing Easy Golf Club. Give you an opportunity at a place you know you can go to practice or to play on their awesome golf simulators. You can work on your game, play some of those famous courses from around the world on their simulators. We were there just a week and a half ago. It's just a ton of fun. So if you have not been to Swing Easy Golf Club, it's brand new here in Baton Rouge. Go check it out. It's on Segan near Perkins. You can walk in. You don't have to be a member to go. They just have membership options that can give you some perks. You might try it out one time, try it out a second time, but go, yeah, this is a place I'd like to spend a little bit more time. I have a feeling that's how that's going to go. It's Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Check them out online. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trustee Properties.
Beck, I'm aware that currently your daughter doesn't have a lot to say. Is that fair to say? I've never met her, but I'm assuming that's probably the case.
Not many things are said except for grunting noises. Sometimes a bit of a yell, if you will.
Well, you have this to look forward to because every once in a while they pick things up, and Myers is now obsessed with putting LSU football games on YouTube, and really he only wants to watch the Louisiana Tech game because he was there. So that has been played. He's watched it 44 times on YouTube.
What does
not
he
the whole
say?
game. It's the 18-minute highlight thing from ESPN.
But like, what does he just says? He wants to watch.
He says he'll say, "Can I watch the Tigers and the Bulldogs and when they come out running?" Because the first scene on YouTube is them coming out of the tunnel.
Nice.
That's what he wants to. So today I was dropping him off at school, and he said, "Dad, why is his name Jack Pyburn?" I said, "Who?" On the football game. So he clearly has heard Sean McDonough or whatever the voice was say Jack Pyburn. And I said, well, that's just what his mom and dad decided to call him. He goes, well, what's his favorite color? It's like, so this is the level that his brain is working on, to where the next thing is what's his favorite color, but he's gleaning Jack Pyburn off of, I'm sure, one tackle in the game.
You need to make sure, look, if Jack's at player interviews today, maybe you can tell him, hey, my son wants to know what your favorite color is.
And we might get Pyburn this week. We haven't had him in a couple of weeks. He also did this. For those that are watching on YouTube, you'll catch this. The Ole Miss game from last year came on, and Aaron Anderson catches a pass and gets a first down, and he goes like this.
Yeah.
And Myers was playing football in the by himself in the living room, and he stopped and did this.
Oh, that's awesome. So, good stuff.
He's something. He also wants us to cheer him on at all times, no matter what we're trying to do, whether that's changing a diaper or doing dishes or cooking dinner. We have to watch, which is difficult to do any other chore and also watch the big football game.
But he needs support, hon.
Well, he's got it.
We got the first smile today, hon.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah,
very good. Yeah, that first 6 weeks or so with no smiles or any sort of anything is not a lot.
Not really. Not much
a lot
there.
going on. All right, let's talk about LSU and Ole Miss. Only Mississippi State has appeared on LSU's schedule more often over the years than Ole Miss. LSU has beaten Ole Miss more than LSU has beaten any other team, and Ole Miss has lost to LSU more times than any other team on its side. So it's a storied rivalry that began back in 1894. I looked this up this morning. It was Grover Cleveland's second term in office. LSU and Ole Miss played for the first time. The other inventions that I found that were in 1894, the hand-cranked pencil sharpener was invented in 1894, as well as the spring-loaded mousetrap. Those were brought into existence the same year that LSU and Ole Miss played for the first time. LSU, depending on where you look, there are vacated wins, there's discrepancies once upon a time, but it's pretty close to this number. LSU has 66 wins, Ole Miss 43 wins. There have been 4 ties. I would suggest the 2 most impactful wins in the history of the series both belong to LSU. Of course, 1959, LSU and Ole Miss, number 1 versus number 3. The Tigers were the defending national champions, ranked first in the country. And Billy Cannon on Halloween night runs the punt back 89 yards for a touchdown to stun Ole Miss in Tiger Stadium. And that game, 66 years ago, was the last time LSU and Ole Miss met when both teams were unbeaten and untied, which is really amazing when you think about it. Now, that game was played in late October for a long, long time, and not a lot of teams get to late October undefeated, and LSU had some grim years in there, and Ole Miss had a lot of grim years in there. So when you think about it on its face, like, it does make sense. But considering the fact that that game, to a lot of people, my generation and younger, like, Billy Cannon is just eons ago. And that was the last game that featured these two teams unbeaten, and they'll do it in this game coming up on Saturday. Now, I don't think that this one has quite that impact right now because you're looking at an LSU team that we feel like is a potential contender, but they have significant issues on offense, and Ole Miss doesn't appear to be as strong as they were last year. They struggle with Kentucky. They struggle with Arkansas, and we think those two teams are at the bottom of the league and potentially making coaching changes soon. So I don't feel like it's got the feel of 1959. I don't even feel like it has the feel of 2003, which is the next game that I think is the second most impactful that LSU won. Ole Miss did lose to Memphis that year early in the season, but they were in position to qualify for the SEC championship game for the first time ever that year. And we know what happened. Matt Malk spots him 7 with the pick 6, but LSU's defense only allowed 1 touchdown the rest of the way. Eli Manning on a little middle route to the running back, but LSU clawed back. Michael Clayton scores for a touchdown. Devery Henderson catches a deep ball for a touchdown, and LSU wins that game after Eli falls down. And I think those are the two probably the most impactful games that those two teams have played in their history, and LSU owns both wins. You've got Burris Jones to Brad Davis. Certainly that qualifies. I think LSU fans think very, very fondly of the 2011 game, which is the most lopsided in the history of the series, where LSU kneel with like 6 minutes on the clock in Oxford. That's one of the teams that I do reference that actually quit on a coach. That Ole Miss team quit, and I don't use that term lightly at all. But Ole Miss has also scored some huge wins over LSU in their time. Just not quite as impactful by my eye as the two LSU can claim in 2003 and in 1959. Now, the last two meetings that feature these two coaching staffs and these two programs are classics. They've been heart stoppers. 2 years ago in Oxford, Brian Kelly has spoken about it and how little he thinks of that game. But it was nuts. And you had a situation where the two teams combined for 1,343 yards and 14 touchdowns with no overtime. 1,343 yards and 14 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels, who won the Heisman that year, threw for 414 and 4 touchdowns. He ran for 99 yards, and that wasn't enough. Jackson Dart, 389 yards passing, 5 touchdowns accounted for, 4th on the through the air, 1 on the ground. LSU had a 9-point lead in that game with 8 minutes and 43 seconds left to play and could not hold that lead. With that offense, they could not hold that lead. Daniels threw to the end zone from 25 yards out as time expired, and it hit Chris Hilton in the face mask and hands, but 2 Ole Miss defenders collided and knocked it free to seal that win for Ole Miss. Last year, I've said this a few times. I said it a lot in August, and I'll repeat it here. Watching that game with my eyes in Tiger Stadium, Ole Miss looked better 95% of the game. LSU's pass rush did show up. They had 6 sacks in the game. That was the best thing LSU did in that game, was rush the passer and get to Jackson Dart. They got a couple of picks. I thought it was a really nice play by Zy Alexander in the end zone. And then Nussmeier made 3 great throws on the last drive to get it to overtime. And that was really good. And so I would suggest that LSU did certainly make some plays, but Ole Miss covered better, I thought. I thought their defense looked better for most of the game. I thought that Lane Kiffin absolutely bit Ole Miss by going for those 4th downs early and coming away with no points on the road and spurring Tiger Stadium on. And then Nussmeier made plays he had to make. And you get the 4th down conversion to Aaron Anderson, and then Ole Miss self-destructs in overtime with 2 penalties to back themselves up. They end up losing 15 yards on their overtime drive. They hit an incredible field goal, a 57-yarder, to score on their first overtime possession. And then on the first play of overtime, Nussmeier finds Kyron Lacey in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown to win it. That was one of those games where LSU didn't go on to accomplish anything last year of note, but the environment in Tiger Stadium was a 10 that night. And that doesn't happen very often. I would suggest it doesn't even happen once a year. But it was a 10 that night. Now, you need all those ingredients. You need a great team on the other side, and Ole Miss was a top 10 team. You need LSU to be in the mix, and LSU had played well and won at South Carolina and was, finding things after a tough loss to Florida State, or to USC, beg your pardon. It was at night, the weather was good, and it was a close game, and LSU made plays to win. And all those things, when you put that gumbo together, it's really, really good. And it was really, really good last year. Now Ole Miss will have that on their mind. This is probably a better spot for Ole Miss from an expectation perspective. They generally don't handle those all that well in Oxford, and there aren't as many expectations on this team. And Lane Kiffin's kind of planting those seeds. Yesterday, he talked about, the last 3 coaches there have won national championships, and LSU's always got a ton of talent. And I think Lane's always got an angle, and I think the angle yesterday was kind of, Brian Kelly, you don't really have a title there. Everybody else wins a title there. You don't have one. And I do think that he is wired that way, to kind of plant those things into the media. And I think this is a rivalry. I think that LSU fans prefer to point to Florida, prefer to point to Bama, prefer to point to Auburn, are happy to look over at Texas A&M. LSU looks down its nose at Arkansas, and I think probably looks down its nose a little bit at Ole Miss. That's fine. I've got the elitist in me too that feels that way at times. But proximity, history, generations of watching the same game over and over and over again, like this one carries a lot of weight. And I think you're going to see a really good environment for Vaught-Hemingway Stadium on Saturday. We just talked to Collin about that. He's like, yeah, that's not one of the best ones, small, but they hate LSU. They're going to get up for it. And this is a storied rivalry. It's not necessarily I told you that the one with Florida 2 weeks ago, that was built on greatness, on national championship level teams with NFL draft picks and All-Americans and Heisman Trophy winners. This isn't that, but there's a lot of history that's rooted in this, and we'll see what that bears out on Saturday. It could be a spot where Ole Miss kind of creeps closer to relevance in reaching that playoff for the first time, or it could be LSU making a statement about what its defense is, what this football team could be, and making a statement that it's going to make its first playoff since 2019. I think the winner of this game on Saturday is going to feel really good about itself and what it can accomplish this year. The loser of this game is going to be kind of searching a little bit, and LSU would go into a bye week at that point with that loss and maybe thinking about its offense in a different light. It's a big game on Saturday. We haven't really talked about any of the X's and O's, about any of the matchups, about any of the things that really are going to matter on the field, but I wanted to kind of ease into it with a big picture deal. LSU and Ole Miss. It should be quite a scene in Oxford on Saturday afternoon. All right, let's step aside. Sharief, Ishaq on the Saints next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Look, we live in a delivery world, right? You don't want to make an effort. You want those folks to come to you. And Genesis of Baton Rouge is happy to do that. You want to test drive? They'll come to you at the office, at home. That's great. If you test drive and you say, hey, this is going to be the vehicle for me, they'll deliver it to you. You don't have to go to the dealership to sign the contracts. They can send those to you with e-contracts. They just want to make things convenient for you. That starts with the buying process online. Whole inventory is online. Test drive comes to you, but then they'll come to you for 3 years for your scheduled maintenance. That's convenience as well. It's just part of the process and part of the club that you kind of join when you become a Genesis driver. Go by and see them, Airline at PQ, if you got it in you. If you'd rather just sit back and let them come to you, they'll do it, I promise. They are happy to do so. But check out that inventory online at genesisofbatonrouge.com, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trusty Properties.
Tuesday show is brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. Looking for that hunting property you've always dreamed of. Hunting season is just about here. Daryl May can help you out with that, whether it's in the state of Louisiana, anywhere in the state of Mississippi. He's got access to the premium listings that you are looking for, and he's happy to help you get that property that you've always dreamed of to make your own for hunting season. Give him a phone call. I give you his cell phone number every single week. And
if you don't drop the card.
And it makes it difficult to read the phone number because I'll be honest with you, I don't know Daryl's phone number off the top of my head. But I do have a card here with it on it. So if you want to call him and get into that, get that property you've always wanted, it's 225-268-6915, 225-268-6915. Daryl May with Trusty Properties, a name you can trust. All right, let's talk Saints. Sharief, Ishaq, WDSU down in New Orleans. It's not good, Sharief.
No. Yeah, but let me say this, huh?
Please do.
We start going. Let me just say, for the fans who are like, oh, I want to rebuild, let's get this thing moving in the right direction, let's tank fire picks, and then they start complaining about how they're losing games. I'm like, what do you want then?
Yeah.
What do you want exactly? I mean, they're doing exactly what you want them to do.
I agree. Like this is just part of the process. Like this wasn't going to be an 8 and I can't do the math now. 8 and 9 season. Yeah, that's how that works. It just wasn't going to be. It's going to be really bumpy. Is there something that you've seen that is more disheartening than anything else? More frustrating, more disappointing through 3 weeks?
Oh wow! We'll start on a defense. Very disappointing they had not forced any interceptions through 3 games. Their third down defense continues to be atrocious. I mean, everything from that game was atrocious, but the pressure, really can't count the pressure rate in that game because it was 21-0 in the blink of an eye, and they barely even had to throw the ball much to be up 21-0. But I am so disappointed in the Saints secondary. The one play that really caught my attention was when Jackson Smith and Jigba was wide open down the field behind 3 players. That is disheartening. It is beyond atrocious when it comes to that secondary. I really thought the secondary was going to be much better than it is, and it's been deplorable. And that's being kind. It's been that bad to the point where they have not been close to intercepting a single pass this year. And it hasn't been competitive on third down, especially on 3rd and long. And it just, man, and it continues to get worse and worse and worse, and it isn't going to get any easier Sunday in Buffalo.
The issue there for me, I'll get your thoughts on it, but that's supposed to be a young, promising unit that's not aging out. It should be entering really, really good play, and for them to struggle the way that they have on the perimeter that's a spot that I want the Saints to play well at, and you're getting the opposite.
Yeah, I agree. I know you've asked me every week, hey, is Kool-Aid McKinstry showing you some flashes? Some, but I feel like there's more bad than good so far with Kool-Aid. I know that he's a young player, but the same could be said about Alontae Taylor. He's missed quite a few tackles. He's been out of spots on coverage, and Justin Reed's kind of been the one who's surprised me a little bit more. I thought that he'd be forcing a little bit more in terms of that defense in the secondary, be forcing some more action, and it's just been not great, Hunt. I mean, it's just out of place, poor tackling. I mean, some of it is pretty much the details and the basic fundamentals of football, and you're seeing it executed poorly by the Saints secondary.
When you move to the offensive side of the ball, is there something there that is particularly frustrating? Man,
I've got to be quite honest with you with that. I mean, I'm a little disappointed in the skill players. I thought I'd see a little bit more. I thought I see the number of targets Olave is getting. That's all great, but it's happening whenever they're down 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and they're in big deficits. I'm a little disappointed in that. I thought I'd see a little bit more from the skill position players when the game matters the most, when it needs to be, when they kick off, because the slow starts has a lot to do with skill position players. Offensive line has been at times, not all of it, has been very, 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 very bumpy. Cesar Reeves has struggled a lot, man. He has struggled mightily this year. I cannot believe how big of a backward steps he's taking in this offense, and it's not good. It really is not good.
What's your level of concern with Blake Grupe?
I'm starting to get there a little bit. He looks that one miss last week. Well, he's already missed 3 this year, and they're all kind of kicks that he would make last year. He missed 4 all of last year. He's missed 3 through 3 games.
Yeah.
And any more misses like that, I think we need to have conversations of guys got to be in the building. New kickers have to be in the building. If it's Charlie Smith or if someone else, they're going to have to bring in someone else to get the job done, because the constant missing from 40 or fewer yards it could be very concerning.
Is there something that's encouraging either side of the ball? Let you take whatever you see fit, or coaching?
Don't laugh. No one got hurt Sunday.
Sorry, I didn't listen. I didn't listen.
That's a positive thing. Pete Werner played, he was all over the place. I felt like he was making tackles. He was running. He was playing hard. He was the guy that recovered the fumble that Quincy Riley made a good play on, by the way. Quincy Riley finally got his chance, put his shoulder right on the ball and popped the ball out. And that's it. That's all I really have. I think, man, look, Kellen Moore and his coaching staff did not have that team prepared. That's the first time I have seen him through the preseason games and these 3 games that They did not have that team prepared and ready to play. And he took blame for it. He said it's on me, and 100% correct. It is on him. The team could not come out flat. They left early to go play that game. They left on Thursday to get acclimated to being in Seattle and got absolutely decimated. A place that they've won the last 2 games. By far the worst game I've ever seen them play. Man, since I've been in the business. I started doing this in 2005. That's the worst game I've ever played. It felt like some of the Katrina games, they were more competitive than that. That was just brutal, man. It was brutal to watch.
Do you worry about morale as they try to lay the foundation for something new? When you keep losing, it's tough.
It can be deflating. Losses like that are supposed to be deflating. I'm not really worried about the morale. I'm a little bit worried about like building forward and building and building on this process. You can't have. I'm a little bit more worried if you continue to have losses like that. I'm gonna throw the Buffalo game away because I feel like they're probably going to be in the same situation against Buffalo.
Yep.
But if you start having losses like that against the Giants or Patriots or the Bears or any of those teams that you're supposed to hang around with and maybe beat, then I'm going to be concerned about them around the locker room. They're going to be like, all right, what are we doing here? I know it's a process and we're supposed to be building for the future, but why is it this bad? It shouldn't be this bad. We should be more competitive. What's
your win total look like for the season now?
It started at 5. I'm going to probably still stick around, probably 3 or 4.
3 is
I've been searching for the win.
3 is in the discussion for the top pick in the draft.
Oh, absolutely. But the problem is, do you trust them to draft the right player right now, considering it's been a mess lately? Now, this obviously it's a to be determined. I think Kelvin Banks is a good player, by the way. We don't know what Tyler Shuck is. I think you got to start playing Quincy Riley. You got to start playing Danny Stutzman, Sanker. Got to get more run. He's been getting a lot of run now that Blackman's out for the season. To be determined. But now, if you get a top 3 pick, the number 1 pick, do I trust Jeff Ireland and the front office and the staff to make that pick and make that right decision?
We'll hope that if we've got that problem, we'll worry about that then. But that's something that is very much in the cards for the Saints team if they continue to play the way they did on Sunday. Sharief, we'll chat next week after Buffalo. Thanks, man.
All right, man. See you next Tuesday.
Sharief Ishaq, WDSU down in New Orleans. We'll come back and close it out. When we come back,
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If your house is 20, 25, 30 years old, that's about the time where a lot of the things in the bathroom can start to malfunction, can start to deteriorate. There just may need to be a change. It might not be a fix. So don't just call the handy guy down the street, pay him with some cash, and hope that works out. Go with a company that's done this for 3 years. Go with a licensed, bonded, and insured team. Go with David Vaughn and One Bath and Closets. They are fully capable of going in and reworking that entire shower. They can make it look brand new. They can put in a brand new shower. They can pull out that tub that's not functioning, that may be rusted, or you may be having trouble with the water coming in and out. Get rid of it. Get a new one. David Vaughn and his team can do that. They can replace that shower with a linen closet, maybe replace that tub with a brand new shower. They can handle all the flooring. They got a master plumber on staff. They've got all of these things that you need, and they've been at it for 3 decades. It's David Vaughn and One Bath and Closets. Highly suggest you go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation. Chat with David about what he can do. Can transform that bathroom in just a matter of days, matter of weeks. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online, onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trustee Properties.
.104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, along with First American Bank and Trust, are teaming up to honor our military and raise funds for Folds of Honor. This nonprofit organization provides scholarships to the spouses and children of soldiers who were killed or disabled in service. Donate to this important cause. Visit our website at 1045espn.com. Folds of Honor, to honor their sacrifice and educate their legacy.
Closing things up here, Tuesday show is brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Hunting land, agriculture land, second home, retirement home, just a place on the coast in Pass Christian or in Bay St. Louis, they can help you out at Trusty Properties. He's licensed in Mississippi and Louisiana. Give Daryl a call. 225-268-6915. Daryl May with Trusty Properties. That's a name you can trust. All right, excited for tomorrow's show. SEC Football Power Rankings back in action. We'll dive into some of the nuts and bolts of LSU and Ole Miss. Finally, as we get to the back end of the week, should get some good information tomorrow from tonight from player interviews in Baton Rouge. Lane Kiffin has met with the media a couple times in Oxford, and we got the head coaches teleconference tomorrow. So further injury updates from the two head coaches there. So lots to do on tomorrow's show. Very much looking forward to that. For right now, to finish this show, some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
95 calories, 2.6 carbs, the next generation of light beer. Still warm down here. Temps in the 90s. If you're looking for a light beer to enjoy with all that full beer flavor, got it with Flight by Yingling. It is the next generation of light beer.
Alrighty, first one. Big news for the MLB, Hunt. They have approved, I should say, the automated ball strike challenge system for the 2026 season. It will be in use for spring training, regular season, and playoffs starting next year. The system allows each team 2 challenges per game on ball strike calls, initiated immediately by the pitcher, catcher, or batter via a hat or helmet taps, with successful challenges retained and 1 additional and extra innings if needed. It follows years of minor league testing and big league trials showing low usage and high accuracy. The automated ball strike challenge, take it or leave it.
I'll take it. It's good.
I'll take it.
It's quick. It's like tennis with their shot tracer deal. Like, they challenge it. It shows up on the screen. It's done in 15 seconds. I'm for it. This is not one of those deals that are going to be under the hood for a long time. It's strike or it's ball. There's nothing subjective about it. So I think it'll work. I think it's fine. I don't think it's going to be overused, as you mentioned. I'm all good for it. I thought the most ridiculous thing I've heard in a while was Walker Buehler saying he didn't like it because if you're a veteran pitcher, you should be able to get more pitches outside the zone than young pitchers, which is a very, very, very stupid thing to say.
Yes, it is very
He went to Vanderbilt. He should be smarter than that.
That is true. He should be. I will say, I wonder if this is just how far it's going to go for the MLB. Like, are they never going to get to the point where it's just the camera? I mean, hopefully it is, because this is good. It's a good step in the right direction, but I'm not surprised the MLB is going a little slow on this, because the umpires do have a good bit of power within that league.
Hey, if it means less ejections, I'm all for it.
That's true. All right, next one. I called it, Hunt. The Giants are going to be benching Russell Wilson, starting Jackson Dart. Starting this week, of course, he will be starting again, most likely against the Saints, barring an injury. But Jackson Dart starting for the Giants. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take
it. Not very good. No. Side note. If Trinidad Chambliss starts a few more games for Ole Miss, and we take Austin Simmons' couple starts out, is Jackson Dart, Jaxon Dart, to Trinidad Chambliss the greatest name-to-name quarterback lineage in college football history?
We probably should have asked Sharief that. He is a name expert, especially when it comes to names like that. But that's
Jackson Dart to Trinidad Chambliss is pretty salty.
That's pretty good. I'm seeing a lot of people around Ole Miss with the Trinidad and Tobago flags now going around, which is funny. I do wonder if he was named after the country or maybe some heritage there. But either way, that is a very elite name combo.
It is.
To follow up there. I will say, Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier is not a bad. They're obviously not crazy names, but that's pretty good. That's a pretty good combo.
It's not close to Jackson Dart and Trinidad Chambliss.
It's definitely not. All right, last one here. The ESPN has released their rankings, at least for the top 100 through 50 of the NBA players, 100 to 51 so far. Of course, they'll release the top 10 later this week. But coming in at number 61, Zion Williamson. And number 58, Trey Murphy. Zion and Trey Murphy in the top 60. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
When you talk about top 60 basketball players, you don't really account for the off-the-court stuff and the injuries, which is a lot of what Zion is. Like, in terms of just playing basketball, he is that good, yes. There's just a lot more that goes into, being on an NBA roster and producing and winning that I don't know that he's quite mastered yet. But yeah, and Trey Murphy's good. I like Trey Murphy.
Yeah, funnily enough, a few other ex-Pelican players on there. Dyson Daniels at 55.
Really?
Nikhil Alexander-Walker made it, I think, in the 90s. And also at 54, Paul George. What a fall that guy's had. But that's it for Take It or Leave It.
That's it. Sent by Flight by Yingling. Missing in today's show, Caden Durham being out, Glenn West, Collin Jeter, all Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your pods. Sharief Ishaq plus Saints penalties, Hunt on Saints. Also talked to little Mike Gunby. You catch the entire show on demand wherever you find your sound. Matt's going to drive you home next on AFR. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place with a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.